So, Help Wanted 2 has just come out. I'm going to skip all the prefix and get right into the video because today I want to talk about the new and returning animatronics and what we got from them in this game. Because, like Help Wanted the first, 2 shines in what it brings to these characters. Also, okay, full disclosure, I have not played the game myself. I can't play VR. But I do plan on getting the flat mode, so a lot of what I'm recounting is from absorbing off of other people's playthroughs like a sponge and squeezing that into a glass for you to drink. Okay, off script here, but that was probably the worst thing I've ever written. Anywho, let's get into the meat of this. Let's start with the sister location animatronics and what they bring to the table, since they're really the main band this time around, at least with sister location being such a big chunk of the gameplay. We'll start with a huge revelation. Circus Baby was, as of right now, not confirmed to be the Mimic, and we got some new lines from her that sounded like sister location Circus Baby, the real deal, feigning innocence, just on that thin line between playful and sinister.
Uh-oh, it's so dark. When the lights go out, we pass the time by playing make-believe. Let's play Office. I will be the boss, and you will be the worker. For your first task, you need to play Flashlight Tag. This will go in your permanent record. I like it here. It's safe. Safe forever.
This is just a taste, but this is a pretty huge development because I was going into the game thinking, oh lord, please don't botch Baby, she's been through enough. And they didn't. Indeed, Baby gets her own minigame in a sister location office segment where you play flashlight tag with her plush baby minions. The most interesting part being that we finally get to see Circus Baby's ice cream dispenser in person. Well, save that instead of a claw, we get a scary child snatcher hand holding it to us. That is probably not how it really looks in real life. Real life as in the FNAF universe. Complete the minigame and she'll whip you up a double scoop vanilla ice cream with a cherry on top, just like little Lizzie used to adore.
Workday is over. You have earned this. Ice cream. Time to clock out.
Circus Baby is retroactively made into the final boss of her own game. Shockingly enough, in sister location you don't even encounter her, except when she's Ennard. It's actually quite a treat to see her here. And don't think I'm fluffing this up either, I consider this a victory for Baby, even if her next appearance is not guaranteed. Now, before I move on with the rest of the fun times, let's cover the plush babies. They're all over the place in Help Wanted 2, in the Baby quote-unquote boss battle, in the Father Blast shooting game, in the Bonkabon minigame, in the Bonnie Bowl minigame. I've heard some folks say Moon has had too many appearances in the game, but the plush babies have double that. They're all over the place. To nobody's surprise, likely, there's been no significant changes since Help Wanted with them. But what did shock me was that we also got the Bidybabs. I was sort of expecting them, kind of, but now knowing that the Under the Desk scene was cut, I could have expected as well that they would have been too, and that plush babies would have replaced them entirely. But that was not the case. I found out about their return watching a playthrough of the Ballora gallery section, and thought they had given their voice lines to the Minireenas. But no, they're back again, and they're in that level. As a matter of fact, this is probably the creepiest the Bidybabs have ever gotten. As you're crawling along the way avoiding Ballora, you occasionally see purple eyes illuminate in the darkness. And if you get too close, a Bidybab quickly crawls to you and ends your game. They also do this in the office segment where they crawl down the upper vent towards you, as they do in Sister Location Custom Night, except now it's actually animated and gives the Bidybabs a much more creepy factor. Their baby doll-like faces just work in a way that the plush babies don't for me. So uncanny. So I think this was a huge win for a character who was pretty much displaced by their soft-bellied counterparts. Speaking of the Ballora gallery, we have Ballora herself. As elegant and eerie as ever, we get much more up close and personal this time around. Any closer and we might get roundhouse kicked in the face during one of her pirouettes. Back in sister location, when we crawled through the Ballora gallery, we couldn't see her, save one image of her static spinning in front of us, which technically wasn't her, but just a triggered animation. This time around, Ballora actually dances around the room with more animated spins. This is the first time we've truly seen Ballora up and moving around. Like in FNAF AR, we have her spinning in place in the workshop, but in the jump scare and gameplay, she scuttles around like a spider, or like Moon, towards the player. And not only that, but I'm sure in VR, with how close her feet get, that it must make this level so much more tense. And the dancing is equally lovely and creepy, especially in the office segment where Ballora will just come spinning down the hallway towards your office. Ballora's jump scares are pretty much the same as in Sister Location, except a little more zoomed in. All of Ballora's lines are from the older games. I'm not 100% certain if they're old recordings or new ones, and as we're going forward and I talk about redone lines, I don't know if they're the old lines or if they're new ones, but you can hear them intermittently as you cross the gallery, taunting you in the distance. Now, Ballora's voice has always sounded a little too melodic to be spooky for me personally, but I do like the added detail of having her singing as she wanders the room searching for you. Also, like the daycare attendant's constant clicking, Ballora makes a steady, ticking, clattering sort of noise. Like you hear the cogs turning in her body, or more likely, a music box, as you can often hear a winding noise as well. All in all, this is an excellent appearance for Ballora. It makes her intimidating in a new way, having you pretty much cower under her feet as she spins around searching for you. But the choreographing and model work, I don't know, just something about her is just really stunning this time around, and I can see her winning over plenty more fans if she didn't have them before. But Ballora is not alone, and that's quite literally. She's not the only ballerina dancing around her gallery this time. Her tiny companions, the Minireenas, return as well for her level, and they're not just side pieces. The Minireenas will block your way into the Ballora gallery, and you'll have to physically pick them up and toss them aside to get past. I mean it, you yeet the babies. And not just shake them off like FNAF AR, you launch these things as fast as you can, and then huddle to the ground as Mama Ballora comes kicking past. They also doll pile on top of the door button in this office segment to block you from using it, so you have to toss them off to shut the door before Ballora comes twirling in. It's nice to see them working with Ballora as Ballora's little helpers, not just at her side, but assisting her in her hunt, sort of like they did in FNAF AR, but now with the added hands-on gameplay. And I think it's really cute. I think they're really cute in this role, way cuter than their initial portrayal in Sister Location. And so tiny. This really gives you a good feel for their size. Also, the line that was originally Bonnet's and then mistakenly labeled as the Minireenas in Fazfriends has now officially become the Minireenas. A happy accident that gave the little dolls their first voice line, even if it wasn't initially theirs.
Take me with you.
And on a final note, we have been spared the endless fun of Night 4 of Sister Location, thank goodness. And out of any of this, that almost improves the Minireenas' likability the most. A good showing for these ones. Funtime Freddy returns in the breaker room repair level carried over from Sister Location, though this time there's no screen that jumps up, so you'll have to watch as he slowly creeps his way towards you. Or seems to suddenly thump up by your side and gives you a heart attack, as he teleports a little bit. The blue dots of his eyes staring blankly through the darkness, telling you where he is. Just the way he lumbers up and reaches for you is such an eerie contrast to his cartoonishly goofy voice. It's effective. He just gets so close. And the voice sounds like it's coming from 10 miles away, even when he's standing right beside you. It doesn't sound real. Like, I never thought Funtime Freddy was that creepy beyond his voice, but this does a pretty good job in making him effectively uncanny. He also appears in the Funtime Gang office segment where he may stick Bonbon out around the corner outside of your office, and you must shut the door in time to keep them out. Alas, I don't think Funtime Freddy has any new voice lines. They're all ones you might have heard in Sister Location and Custom Night. Still, like I said earlier, good showing. Now, Bonbon gets a little more to work with in the Bonkabon level, where he and Bonnet are two targets you have to bonk. Ergo Bonkabon. Not a huge role, but pretty neat. Yenndo returns and replaces Funtime Freddy in the harder breaker room level. This is a major upgrade for a character who, while well known, really had a minuscule role in FNAF up until now. Sure, he had a place in the sister location custom night, and occasionally you might get lucky enough to see him in the Funtime auditorium, but this truly is his first real moment. And how does he handle it? Well, pretty well. Take everything I said about the creepiness of Funtime Freddy in the game, and then make him too dark to see, and dead silent. Save the occasional rumble or groan. There's not much personality on display, but it works in making Yenndo significantly more unsettling. Which I am totally on board with. He's still not one of my favorites, but this is an improvement. Funtime Foxy returns in a somewhat smaller role in one of the sister location office levels, the Funtime Gang one. Matching their custom night appearance, you must keep an eye on their camera and watch them slowly edge further and further away from their curtain before rushing towards your office. You have to close the door before they reach your office. Not much more to say on them. But plenty to say on Funtime Chica, who gets her first real appearance in a night and her first jump scare. So, while Funtime Chica has been around since Pizzeria Simulator, her only real appearance where she does anything other than just be a prop was in Ultimate Custom Night, and even there, her jump scare was just a distraction, and just a cartoon depiction of her instead of the actual animatronic. This time around, Funtime Chica is a real threat, but surprisingly, that doesn't backtrack on the suggested characterization of her being the nice Funtime. You start the level with the Funtime version of the cupcake resting on your desk. At some point during the night, Funtime Chica wanders down the hall and waits in your doorway, holding out her plate for you to place the cupcake on it. If you don't, she will jump scare you, but you really have to wait around a while before she loses her patience. Actually, this isn't quite the only mechanic. So Funtime Chica walks down one of the hallways to get her cupcake, and you can actually spot her on the cameras and move the cupcake to lure her into another hallway. After she arrives, you give her the cupcake and she leaves, but there's a chance she'll come back and you have to shut the door and keep it shut for the rest of the level to keep her from jump scaring you, which will take up a lot of power. So yeah, maybe not quite as nice as I initially believed. But it's really neat to see her working in a unit alongside the rest of the Funtimes, especially since she's always been separated from them. She wasn't in Sister Location, she was in Pizzeria Simulator, sold as an animatronic for display instead of a villain, and even in Ultimate Custom Night, she was in a different bracket and much closer to El Chip in gameplay than any of the Funtimes. This is where she finally is a true Funtime, and that's pretty cool. No new voice lines, but she didn't really need them. Let's move on to Ennard. Now, as you know, Help Wanted had a huge Ennard level. That is, it had the vent repair level featuring Ennard that was pretty much the closest we ever got to him. It gave us a way better look at how he moved and functioned, and it was unique gameplay in and of itself. Plus, I got this picture that I often use because I find it cute. I didn't expect anything huge from Ennard after that showing last time, but we did get something. Firstly, we got a remake of the Ennard Private Room boss battle, now as a level in the remade sister location, and that's pretty cool. We watch him creep around in the cameras and end up at the office. And that's where we get something huge. Ennard's first steps. I don't have footage of them in this video, so let me give you a mental image before you go check out a jump scare compilation to see it for yourself, if you don't mind that. So, Ennard's got this stanky-janky walk cycle that looks like one of those skeletons from that old Mickey Mouse short. You know what I mean. Also, his model is a lot cleaner. He's got Glamrock Freddy's eye thing, but he no longer has a mask of modeling clay. Okay, jokes aside, he does look significantly better than he does in the first Help Wanted. Like, hands down, there's no contest. So while Ennard doesn't have another bombastic vent repair-esque level, he does have a really good showing, and I love seeing him again. That pretty much covers all of the sister location characters, so why don't we cover a major one from Pizzeria Simulator next? Helpy the Helper Cub. Helpy appears in a few roles here, that is, as the mascot on the big screen directing you on where to go, and other mini cameos like that, but his major appearance is in the medical training and Helpy repair level. Helpy fills in for an injured customer, and you have to perform various treatments on him. Sometimes wiping his wounds and bandaging him up, sometimes whacking a hammer on his leg for some reason, and usually knocking him out with laughing gas when he starts to shriek in pain. While he seems to be playing along with this as his job as a seemingly mindless AI, To me, it almost looks like Helpy's sad or frightened after these procedures. Maybe it's just me. That and the way he, snarfs down the candy you offer him makes me feel a little bad for the guy. He doesn't mean to lure in a cast of random characters of various colors and danger levels. He's just in intense, though simulated pain. I want to take Helpy home and tuck him in and read him a bedtime story. So, yes, I'd say Help Wanted 2 did a good job. So let's move on to that cast of 3 animatronics crawling in on Helpy's surgery. We have a semi-surprising bunch. At least one of them is pretty unexpected. Of all the mediocre melodies, one returns in a major role, and it is not Mr. Hippo, though there is a Mr. Hippo variant in the form of Mystic Hippo, who I will get to in a few minutes. But who I mean is PIGPATCH, shockingly enough. Reappearing as one of the animatronics in the medical Helpy repair training level, PIGPATCH crawls through the vent when you make too much noise and jump scares you. There's no new lines for him, but he has a unique jump scare sound that sounds like a pig squeal. Listen to it. Kinda gives me Machine for Pigs vibes. PIGPATCH himself has also undergone a slight transformation. His pupils and irises shrunken down and his eyes sunken in to give him a more uncomfortable and eerie appearance. When putting the before and after beside each other, you can really see the difference, and it does help in making an obscure and harmless looking pig look like a boar ready to gore. The second animatronic in the Helpy repair is none other than Lefty. Lefty looks pretty similar to his unused and cancelled AR appearance, so there hasn't been that big of an upgrade. No voice lines either. Here's his jump scare noise. Notice the distinct difference with PIGPATCH's. That's all I'm going to say on Lefty. The last animatronic for Helpy's repair is Scrapbaby, who returns for the most difficult level. Now, she's a character who I was really excited to see, but unfortunately this is really her only appearance. But it's nice to get a little more with her, such as a crawling animation, which she didn't have in Pizzeria Simulator. We also get this cleaned up model, which is just really good. This is, unless I'm wrong, the only full body render of Scrapbaby, and it just looks nice. I suppose I was expecting a little more, but I do like what we got. Beggars can't be choosers, most of the time. Also, and this is a weird aside, Scrapbaby's jump scare noise sounds like a Pokemon. As I said a few moments ago, there is a variant to Mr. Hippo named Mystic Hippo, who is technically a brand new character, or close enough that I'd consider her a new character. She's mounted in a display over on the wall to the left of the control panel that is the level select. Occasionally she will shout out hints on where you need to go, such as saying when there's a hint somewhere or a gift on the stage.
Something has changed. A message for you near the performer's stage.
Or she can read your fortune.
Mystic Hippo sees all. You see 5 cards before you. Look carefully at the cards and choose.
Now, I watched Astralspith play this scene, and he was having a heck of a time getting the eye tracker to work. And I'm assuming that's an issue with the VR and not like a gimmick of her being unreliable. But she does happen to, drift. So, I'm not as wowed by Mystic Hippo as I thought I would be, but she's okay. A nice new addition. Happy Frog appears on a Band-Aid, which I know thanks to a commenter. But Orville didn't show this time around. All things considered, I didn't expect PIGPATCH to make any sort of significant appearance, so this is still a mighty victory for the mediocres. Lemonade and Fruit Punch Clown do have brief appearances. There's not too much to say about them. In fact, the only reason I bring them up is because I think it's kind of cool that they're back. Candy Cadet returns as well in his roughed up ruin condition. He's parked in the corner and you can only see him once you remove your mask. There you can insert a coin to get him to tell you a couple of different stories. One is about a family that misses out on an opportunity of their lives. A hot and ready combo from Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. With double the sauce and cheese and half the price, your kids and wallet will be stuffed. And then there's this other story that's likely about Vanessa, but might also be about Cassie, about a little boy and a witch mimicking a little boy. And you see, Candy Cadet, this is why we don't invite you to parties. You're either lore baiting or peddling, and I don't recall getting any candy from this. Moving on, Captain Foxy returns in a new Western-themed Captain Foxy Dark Ride, which I love. We see cutouts of both Pirate and Western Foxy, along with Captain Foxy himself, the actual animatronic. It's cool to see him again, but... So, Foxy's voice has taken a significant change. Like, I didn't notice it too much in-game, but listening to the lines separately, raw, it doesn't quite sound like Foxy. Like, you know how Foxy normally sounds like a pirate? He kinda sounds like, a little like Mr. Krabs. Well, now it sounds like someone doing a Foxy the Pirate impression. The wiki claims that this is the same voice actor, but listen to the difference.
Ahoy! Set sail for treasure! Take that, you scurvy mongrel! The real treasure was friendship all along. Happy birthday!
Set sail for adventure. Fire in the hole. And the real treasure was friendship all along.
You could say it's because this Foxy is supposed to be Western, but I don't think that's the case, because he's not dressed up as a sheriff when you come in. I don't know. I don't critique voice acting often because I'm not a voice actor and I don't think I could be. But he sounds so bored. Maybe that was on purpose, in which case, I think that was a weird direction. But now, let's move on to the Glamrocks. Since Help Wanted 2 has a lot of security breach theming, it should be no surprise that they've returned with notable roles, starting with Glamrock Freddy. Glamrock Freddy returns with his own level, Cold Storage. Frozen inside of the fast freezer, you must defrost and keep Freddy together while trying to retrieve the ice cream cake from his belly. It functions like a repair segment, except less repairing and more retrieval. And this entire time, Freddy's being his usual self.
Although we have just met, I know I am in good hands. After all, you are a Fazbear technician, are you not? Please retrieve little Jimmy's birthday cake. If you require assistance, consult my handy field repair manual. It should be around here somewhere. I was unsuccessful in attempting to self-repair.
The only problem is that this extreme change in temperature is basically knocking him out of safe mode, so he can be dangerous if you mess up. Again, like a repair section. You have to replace some parts, warm up his arms, cool down his batteries, flip open his head, watch his eyes pierce into your soul, and eventually retrieve little Jimmy's birthday cake, replacing it with little Timmy's birthday cake. All the effort, and you could have just changed that T to a J so easily. I don't know if it was intentional, but this level is yet another example of how Fazbear Entertainment may abuse their animatronics. Freddy is capable of thinking and feeling, yet they're too lazy to take the cake out of his chest before they need it, so instead of doing that, they just shove Freddy in the freezer to keep it from melting. Forget Mimic, Vanny, William, Moon, probably Vanessa, probably Gregory and Helpy and Rockstar Freddy. The real villain of FNAF is Freddy's themselves, the conglomerate beast that put the only decent father in this franchise on ice. That being said, even in this tense moment, Glamrock Freddy is as sweet and charming as he usually is. Glamrock Chica has a surprisingly beefy role in Help Wanted 2, appearing both in the food prep levels as herself and Shattered Chica, and in the Fizzy Faz level. Here she gets a little more of a character expansion with a slew of new lines, ones that sound much less automated and more specific to her personality. And what is that personality? Well, Chica starts out as cutesy and curious, excited at the prospect of a nice snack, wandering around the snack bar doing things like pointing at the Fizzy Faz machine or
"What you making over there? I smell pizza. Is that for me? Just a little nibble. Yum!"
But the longer she has to wait, the brattier and more demanding she becomes.
"Do you want me to starve? I need to be fit. Don't make me wait any longer."
And more desperate she becomes.
"Out of my way! Move! I'm starving!"
She is already a slave to her appetite, willing to shove aside staff bots coming in to retrieve orders and wolfing down the food meant for waiting customers. And yes, there are some lines that are a little concerning.
"Now I feel all logy. I'm so full. Nap time."
And things like Chica's skinny taco, there's definitely some hints here towards her issues. As the levels pass, we move deeper into the Pizzaplex. She becomes more feral, such as in the Fizzy Faz level where she will bang on the window, devolving until she eventually is shattered during the movie theater level. In this one, there's nobody to serve but her, where she will tip the tray and eat off the floor. Funny enough, even in this state, she still wants her orders right. So, I remember in Ruin there were some folks, myself included, who were a little disappointed that Chica didn't get more character building, especially since she was shown to be in such an uncomfortable, pitiable state. Well, here it is. We kinda get Chica's whole vibe laid out. She's not just a food-obsessed zombie, she's a struggling addict who's all nice and passive when you keep her satisfied, but will become more desperate and angry the longer you keep her from her fix. Glamrock Chica needed this attention, and because of it, I now connect with her a lot more. Roxanne Wolf returns in her own level, involving dolling her up in the Glamrock beauty salon, and not only does it answer an important question involving her, but it too expands her character in a way that I actually liked a lot more than Ruin's. I liked seeing her soft side in Ruin, but what's shown here is that proper transition between Security Breach's Roxy and Ruin Roxy. So basically your task is to help Roxy get to looking good by applying her admittedly terrible makeup. I mean, come on, having 2 different eyeshadows is a vibe, but having only one eye shadowed is an accident. And the accessories range from cute to cool to absolutely hideous. I mean, Roxy can make anything work, but somebody's going to get fired if Roxy shows up on stage looking like she got blasted by Homer Simpson's makeup shotgun. During this, Roxy is pretty demanding. She wants almost constant attention and constant eye contact. Spending too much time looking away is seen in her eyes as blowing her off. Now, at first this behavior comes off as haughty and self-important, especially with how Roxy talks about herself, building herself up. But by the harder level, it becomes more apparent that Roxy's issue is that crippling insecurity. Not giving her a total pass though, because if you're so insecure that you can't let your makeup artist so much as look at his palette, then you've got a problem.
What's so important over there? Pay attention to me! I am the star!
It's in the harder level that we see the real Roxy laid out before us is shattered Roxy, all but begging for help.
How bad is it? Be honest. You need to fix me right now! Nobody will like me! Fix me! I look horrible!
She's still demanding, but now in a panicked sort of way, and she even acknowledges it.
Here's a little tip. If I ever get in a mood, use the walkie. It calms me. You don't have to say a thing ever. Ever.
She's so codependent on her own praise that she needs them told back to her to keep her in line. And yes, she lapses into frustrated fits that must be soothed by the radio, but no amount of makeup can fix the severe damage to her face. And, once again, her inability to choose 2 of the same objects really trips her up here, because there's eyes on the rack. If she just let us put on 2 eyes, even if they're fake, it would improve her image by at least 50%. By the end, she gets frustrated enough that she gives up. She demands the mask.
The mask! The mask!
Upon which it is revealed that we give her the mask from Ruin, explaining the major change of her face. We hand it over and she tells us to leave, still obsessing on how to find Gregory. I think this was a much needed bonus for Roxy, both in answering a question from Ruin and making her a little more understandable. There is some awareness in her behavior, she just can't control herself. Unlike Monty. By which I mean unlike Monty, who is a no-show this time around. Rip his character growth. But that doesn't mean there's nothing to say about him. We do see a brief cameo of him in the Bonnie Bowl bowling minigame. He appears on one of the bowling screens, when you get a gutter ball, upon which he crushes and replaces Bonnie. We'll just add that to the lengthy list of evidence that Monty offed Bonnie, somewhere between Bonnie's laying on a rug from Monty Golf and paint transfer laws deducing that the fingers would rub on the side of the claw marks, not the claws themselves, ergo the green paint on Bonnie's chest. But nah, I'm sure it was the mimic. By the way, in the unfinished Build-A-Bonnie Bowl, you can actually see Monty's model floating around. Now this might just be a placeholder, but it's one heck of a placeholder considering he's just not in the game elsewise, save the model viewer. But still, could have used Moon, he's in the level. I found this out through Terabit Gaming's Out of Bounds and Cut Content video, and I'd recommend checking it out. Now, Monty Skater still made it in, just not him. But that aside, I know there's probably going to be some folks disappointed that Monty didn't get his moment again, and I'm kinda surprised too considering how much Chica and Roxy got. I heard rumors of a DLC, so maybe we'll get more Monty there. On to Glamrock Bonnie. He has an appearance as a model, and as I mentioned before, Bonnie Bowl appears as a minigame. There's technically a Bonnie jump scare, as you can have the giant Bonnie head at the end of the alley start chomping at you like an Easter-themed Pac-Man. Other than that, I find the only notable thing being the pose Bonnie's model is in, with his hand reaching out and his face almost looking fearful, like he's shielding himself. Kind of like what Glitch Trap does in one of the endings. I don't think there's a connection, I'm just surprised it happened twice. The bigger thing here being what's not here, and that is Glamrock Bonnie's voice lines that were supposed to be in the minigame but cut for some reason, also courtesy of Tetrabit Gaming. The lines are just text, and they read, "Enjoy Bonnie Bowl's cutting-edge computer graphics. Hey gang, welcome to Bonnie Bowl. Lucky you! You've been upgraded to the Bonnie's Wild Premier Game Package. No street shoes allowed. The rules are simple. Roll the ball and knock down those pins. Use the terminal to begin." Now, I don't think there's any personality we can derive from these lines because it sounds like it would have been one of those automated introductions like Monty's "Welcome to Monty's Gator Golf." But it would have been nice to hear his voice. No idea why it had to be cut. Seems like every game we get interesting stuff cut. Voice lines, plot lines, entire endings, ruins good ending, and now Glamrock Bonnie and Monty. Let's move on. Now on to the daycare attendant. So, there's so much I could say about the daycare attendant and how Help Wanted To expands them, but I'm going to keep it brief and go into more detail in a separate video, because I don't want them to overtake this one. Especially with the, couple of less than pleased comments who pointed out how Moon got appearances in so many minigames and Monty didn't get one. Though in Moon's defense, he didn't get nearly as many as the Plushbabies. Though he may have a more significant role in all of this if the ending is hinting at one. Well, since we're discussing Moon, let's get him out of the way first. Moon's starring role is in the Carousel minigame, and he's golden in it.
The merry-go-round broke down.
I'd say it did, Nightman. The thing's currently on fire. He creeps around as you're trying to repair the carousel, inching in closer, hopping onto the carts and laughing menacingly. He definitely feels like the best animatronic to fit this role, and he fits it well. Other levels he's included in includes Bonnie Bowl, where he hangs out in a hole above the alley and you have to shine your light on him to scare him off. He also appears as a jump scare chance in Sun's Arts and Crafts. Now, unlike many of the other animatronics who get moments building their character but no real story importance, Moon may or may not have a huge story reveal and Help Wanted To, and it all depends on if him being Vanny's claw was simply an aesthetic choice or was for a reason. Let me explain. In the secret ending, Vanny is manning a claw machine that you're trapped inside and wants something you have. To get it, she uses the claw, who is Moon, to retrieve it for her. Now, the idea of Moon being a puppet for Vanny has a ton of baggage behind it that I won't go into here. Let's just say that if this is the case, there's been hints towards it for a while now. And if this is the case, then the daycare attendant might have just upgraded from side character to secondary antagonist. And that's a pretty impressive promotion to get in a single game. Now on to Sun. We do get something rather spectacular with him as well. So you know the Sun. He's this sunny side of the daycare attendant, this bright-eyed go-getter who likes glitter glue and googly eyes, an oversized babysitter taking care of tots in his little rainbow castle. Well, we spend a little more one-on-one time with the Sun as he guides us through our critiques of our arts and crafts before shredding the ones that he deems acceptable. And yeah, under that spongy demeanor, there is in fact an abrasive side.
Ah, don't eat the crafts. That is how you get ulcers. You can stop throwing things now. Do it again, and you're taking a nap. You call that art? Be creative on your own time. We are making art.
I'm kinda shocked how much characterization this suddenly gives Sun. Like, Sun has always had some complexity with his anxiety, childish mannerisms, and his fussy little tantrum when he bans Gregory from the daycare. But this...
Oh, you are banned from the daycare. So bad. I should turn off the lights myself.
This is not just a kid in an adult clown's body. This is a strung-out, worn-down adult party clown who's been serving children's birthday parties for 10 years and is still barely affording to make rent. And yet he still takes his job way too seriously, and not seriously at all. Like, he's quick to criticize art, but equally quick to shred the good stuff. And the whole experience frames Sun as, well, let me direct you to that Carousel line.
That is the end of my instruction. If I had been programmed with the knowledge to fix it, it would have already been done.
That's the real Sun, folks. Underneath the kindergarten coloring and tight smile, there's someone who isn't all sunshine and rainbows. This is continued in the harder version of the level where Ruin's Sun shows up, huddled under a makeshift tent in his little loft.
You shouldn't be here. Please, just leave me alone. You can make crafts, but then you need to go.
And then when we're finished...
Good job, great. Put it on the fridge. Get out.
I want to deconstruct this more in its own video. I've got it, because there's just so much to unpack here. But let me just say this. All of this, as a pretty big Sun fan, I love this. Ruined Moon also appears in the same harder arts and crafts level, creeping around as you're trying to paint and forcing you to charge and shine your light on him in between mixing up colors. Strangely enough, Eclipse does not appear. That could be because this game is a partial prologue to Ruin, or it could just be because there wasn't a good spot to fit him in. But surprisingly, there's one more variation of the daycare attendant who appears, and this is a new one, with a familiar face. I'm talking about the Jacko Moon. A Jacko Halloween-esque variation of the daycare attendant, and though he is called and acts like Moon, both his model in the viewer and in his jump scare has his points out. This, along with his coloring, makes him look an awful lot like the eclipsed, but not eclipse, Sun Moon in the Balloon World minigame. His frills and collar are green, his ribbons on his wrists and shoes are dark purple, and his puffy pants and clothes are patchy canvas or burlap. I'm a 9 fan, I know my fabrics. Jacko Moon appears in the harder Carousel level. You know, the one that's on fire. And in the secret route of the Foxy Dark Ride. What Jacko Moon has to do with fire, other than looking like he's on it, or Foxy, is unclear. He has Moon's voice lines and general behavior, so I think he may just be like a special skin callback to that old design for the security breach. And he looks pretty great. It's cool to not only see a new Jacko character, but one who looks so unique. Finally, we're done with the daycare attendant, and we can move on to the return of another fan-favorite security breach darling, DJ Music Man. Turns out bouncer mode isn't the DJ's only quirk. He's also a strict teacher, and when you get private DJing lessons, you only have a couple of chances to win him over or he will eat you. Like most things, it's labeled a bug by Fazbear Entertainment and likely never fixed. The DJ plays a beat and then you have to try to replay it. If you do, he is pleased and even celebrates as you succeed in his lesson. A little off topic, but between the movements depicted in the minigame and his disapproval of mediocrity, I'm suddenly getting DJ Subatomic Supernova vibes, like from No Straight Roads. That might be like a reference that pretty much no one picks up, but yeah.
My music will reach the furthest corners of the galaxy. What have you done today, simpletons?
Anyways, in the harder level, you also have to attend to the return of the simple clattering mini music men, who also make themselves a distraction and try to creep up and jump scare you, with you having to use the Fazcam to scare them off. What's neat here is that this is the first and only time we've seen the DJ and the little music DJs together. At all. We still don't even know their relationship either, with it seeming less like they're his helpers and instead like he's just ignoring these little party crashers getting in the way of your lesson. It's in the pro lesson that we get something pretty special, as we get our lesson in the ruined PIGPATCH, and you know what that means. Now, plenty of folks were wondering what happened to DJ Music Man in Ruin, where he was and why he didn't have a ruined form. Well, look no further than Help Wanted 2, where we are introduced to the ruined Music Man. He's actually not looking too broken. I mean, he doesn't look great, but he's mostly intact. Intact enough to still judge your DJing skills. Only missing one eye. Music only sounds a little crunchy. He's doing great. I mean, compared to like Monty and Chica. The funny thing is though, considering this is a pro lesson, DJ Music Man seems to be acting totally in character. Same demeanor as before he broke all his teeth. He still takes his music very seriously, and all things considered, it's a miracle he's still holding himself up. He looks downright terrifying when celebrating, though. The bigger threat in the level, shockingly enough, are the ruined mini music men who will just not let up, coming at you from all sides and trying to blow your flow. You just have to keep flashing and crossing your fingers. Well, actually no, you need those fingers for the buttons. Just keep your hands moving and nobody has to get hurt. While there's no huge revelations about DJ Music Man, except his entire ruined form, I find this a really neat little showing. I can only imagine how intimidating he must be in VR, but I don't know, he gives me really cool guy, we can't let him die in here vibes. Now on to the staff bots. They appear in quite a few places. We have them playing the role as the customer in the food prep minigame. We have them as performers to dress up in the backstage salon minigame. There's a staff bot foreman in the Fizzy Faz levels, and they just appear here and there in small but noticeable roles. Nothing too huge here. Except Map or Mask Bot. In one of the endings, we are spontaneously revealed to be the Mask Bot, and yes, it sounds just as insipid as it sounds. The Nightmarian staff bots, or alpha bots, also appear in that same ending and have a cameo in the Fizzy Faz level. One of the more noticeable staff bots is the Chef, or Manager staff bot, who you might recognize as this upside-down nightmare spawn. They give you your instructions on the L-Chip's food prep level, and if you fail, they're the ones who jump scare you. This whole upside-down dangling bot thing is pretty cool. I could see it being creepy under the right circumstances, too. The Glamrock Endos reappear in the Endo training level, along with the specific trainee Endo. I won't go on these guys for too long, because there's really not much improvement. They're just the Endos again. Flash them to scare them off. Also, there was a rumor that Mimic was in this level during the trailers, but that's not the case. No Mimic. Moving on. Carney. Carney is one of the few brand new animatronics, even though he's somewhat of a partial recolor of Rockstar Freddy. He's not badgering me for money, so I already consider him a massive improvement. Carney takes up residence in a booth in the Phaser Blast shooting gallery and occasionally throws in his own commentary. He's your typical Carney showman, just with an edge more snark.
Get a load of this one, folks. Thinks that dart can trigger a light sensor. Water maroon.
But a cool addition. Gonna be honest, no strong feelings towards this one myself. Well, until he catches on fire. Then we get Burnt Carney.
Whoa! Hold on! I'm on fire! I'm on fire!
Though by time he's extra crispy, the shooting gallery is long gone. You're busy fighting off plush traps and Springtrap. Speaking of which, Springtrap's in this level. He was also supposed to appear as an icon in the final level where you tackle Princess Quest and take out Glitch Trap. But as you know, Glitch Trap has nothing to do with Springtrap, even though he was supposed to be Spring Bonnie in the original Help Wanted before a major design change. He's the Mimic as confirmed in this game. I don't know where, but I keep being told it is, so take with it what you will. By the way, Vanny and Glitch Trap return, but they're not technically animatronics, and that gives me a reason to not talk about them again. We have more important matters to deal with. Throughout the games, we get a bunch of tiny teasers towards a familiar face. We see Marionette and Night Marionette plushies scattered about. We're reminded of the missing children incident, again, now with the sixth child, the puppet, included. We even get a puppet transformer, the last one we collect. Princess Quest has two little faces that look like puppet faces. There's hints from Candy Cadet about a girl who escaped an oven. There's a puppet box appearing in the theater that teasingly opens just to reveal a plush baby. There's hints all over. The puppet. There's no puppet whatsoever. But there is this puppet pop-up that is almost the real thing, though complimenting it does make me feel like Marge Simpson that time she was cuddling that sack of potatoes. Don't know why I'm making so many Simpsons references in this video. So yeah, no dice. There's even a level called the Puppet Master, and there's no puppet. This especially stings because that thing happened again where I got spoiled for a cutscene, except unlike with Ruin, where it was a fake cutscene that still spoiled the twist and ending of Ruin, this one just gave me unneeded hope. This is a me problem. A me and YouTube recommendations problem. But unless I missed one, and knowing me I probably did, that should be the entire lineup of animatronics featured in Help Wanted 2. So how'd it do? Well, on the whole, there's a pretty good sized roster this time around, and quite a few characters get a big boost. It's good to see Baby back to her roots, and more Scrap Baby. The Bidybabs are back, Ballora's looking good, the Minireenas are now playing backup for her, Funtime Freddy's looking creepy, for once for me. Yenndo's doing something for once, Ennard's walking, Helpy's helpless, PIGPATCH out of all of the mediocre melodies has a big role. We get a better look at Glamrock Chica, we get answers on Roxanne Wolf, the daycare attendant has gone from being one of my favorite FNAF characters to one of my favorite characters full stop. We got excellent additions like Ruined DJ Music Man, Carney's pretty cool, I like Mystic Hippo even though her role is kinda meh. In fact, I'd say all of the new characters or variations are pretty spot on. But that doesn't mean everything is perfect. Monty got the old Michael Shafton treatment, the Yenndos are nothing new or interesting, and Lefty got an appearance and the puppet didn't. This is a cruel world. And notably, it wasn't a great Lefty level. Of the 3 animatronics in the Helpy medical training level, Lefty's the weakest. But definitely, that's just small potatoes compared to what happened to Monty. If I was making decisions here, I probably would have stuck Monty just in the Foxy Dark Ride level, because there's no reason that Monty couldn't have just been crawling around and splashing in the water behind you. In fact, when I was listening and watching the game and was hearing splashing throughout that level, I thought that's what it was. I thought Monty was like crawling around, and at some point he would try to get up on the boat and you'd have to shoot him off. But no, that was just ambiance noises. We've also once again got a situation where there's a laundry list of cut Vanny lines. I know I didn't discuss Vanny, but Vanny pretty much appears at the end unexpectedly with no build-up or explanation, and that's because once again, all of her dialogue was cut. And more disappointingly, Glamrock Bonnie's lines were cut. What opportunity will we have to organically hear his voice again? Probably won't have one. But on the whole, things are looking good this time around. And Glamrock Freddy is still the best dad. He cares deeply about Jimmy and Timmy. I hope I didn't forget anyone, but if I did, they probably weren't that important anyways. Anyway, I hope that brought you up to speed. Thank you for watching.